Okay, so we're back here tonight at night in the studio slash garage. You know, I was thinking about my last video and kind of thinking, for the past few years, I probably should have changed the name from Studio 120, which was the name of my first studio back in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I should change the name of the channel to the modern day Sisyphus channel. But instead of doing that tonight, instead of regaling all my uphill battles, I thought I would give some helpful information. And while I was thinking about giving helpful information, you know, about painting, I was thinking about the videos that I've made. And the last video, I was like, I don't really do anything useful. I don't really say anything that's helpful. But I was thinking about it. And in these videos, we've covered how to hang a painting, well, how to wire a painting for hanging, how to measure it out, how to repair a tear in a painting, how I start the paintings, and another way of looking at ways to start a painting, finding material, you know, what reference materials I connect with and how to find the character of the portrait of the person that you're painting or the figure that you're painting, how to build a website, or, you know, just basics kind of for a website, putting together a portfolio brochure, presenting to galleries, how important it is to have business cards, the different people I've used and graphic designers I've used for my business cards, my portfolio brochures, people that helped me set up a website, you know, submitting to galleries, talking to galleries, you know, just laying out a plan and kind of sticking to it, trying to reach goals. We have talked about a whole bunch of different things, materials that I use, materials that I really love and how they affect the brush, the paint brush, and oil paints, the oil paints that I use, how they'll reach up around the paintbrush and make this really beautiful stroke. So there have been helpful things, how to make a painting more balanced. When you can't find the center of a figure, how to look for it by using, where is it? A mirror. Using a mirror to look backwards and sometimes see your reference and see your subject in a different light and in a different way to help you make it more balanced. We've talked about my favorite painting tool, my rag, my painting rag, and I was reminded of that the other day. I was just going to make sure, yeah. Sorry, I had to look where the camera was. How to use my favorite painting tool, a rag, and how important it is to not just like keep adding material, but wipe it down too. When I saw someone commented about that, about wiping it down on my last video in the comments section, and I was like, oh yeah, I forget to mention this thing. So there's actually a lot of stuff that we've talked about over the last, you know, what, 6 years in these videos. Pardon me, my allergies are bad. But we've talked about a lot of stuff in these videos, and I kind of forget. I can be kind of helpful every once in a while. I'm going to make a video tomorrow. I'm not ready to do that yet because we need better light for this. But I've been looking at my portrait of King Fem, which is still sitting over here to my right. And I've been struggling and staring at it and trying to figure out, what am I not understanding here? Because it's not really feeling finished. I'm looking at this this peach-colored suit that King Fem is wearing. And why does it feel so, why does her head, or King Fem's, pardon me, King Fem's head feel disembodied from the suit? And why does it not feel like one complete? And I figured it out, and I'll talk about it tomorrow. It's using opposing colors to pull the figure together. Something I tend to forget about until I don't forget, till I remember, and then we put it to use. But tonight I wanted to talk about something else that actually has to do with painting, and a technique in painting that I use. In painting I do use a lot of texture. I did a commission last summer, and when we finished it, I had a friend ask me, why are there lines, standing out? Why are there lines? And I said, because it needed texture. I cannot have just paint on a canvas. There has to be more to it. There has to be more depth. There has to be something more for the viewer to engage with. Bugsy wants to go in, and I've got the door closed. So anyway, I added another layer of paint that I then went over to give more of a fuller feel, and to give it more texture, give it more balance, give it more interest, have a deeper conversation with the viewer instead of, these are happy white people on a white canvas. I try to build layers and layers and layers and give it feel and give it, something really rich. And been staring at a painting. I've had this tiny canvas off to the side, off and on, for probably 4 years. It was a photograph that a friend of mine named Heather Adels, this great artist who passed away, artist from Providence, Rhode Island, passed away. Her name was Heather Adels, A-D-E-L-S. I think that's how you spelled her last name. Anyway, you can find her on my Instagram page and on my Facebook page because I loved her work. She gave me this black and white photograph of, I think it was her mother in the 40s or 50s, a young girl sitting on a stoop. I did several paintings for Heather. She was a patron, and she was very nice to me. She was good to me and a great person. But I had one painting I was been trying really hard to figure out, and she said, it's okay if you don't. We can just leave it to the side. She has since passed away. And I'm telling you, this morning I looked over at it and bam, it hit me. It needed texture. I only got it just so far, and then I couldn't find it, couldn't find that depth I was looking for. Here's the painting down here. This morning it didn't have the lines in it. It was just a basic painting of a girl sitting on a stoop in a winter outfit eating a lollipop. Who cares? But I was looking at this painting, one that's about 50% through, and I've been putting the lines in, adding some texture. I'm not going to keep it all. This is to imply light and dark. These lines are to imply light and dark. These lines are to imply lines. It is not going to look this way when I get done. When I get done, I'm going to have wrinkles. I'm going to have folds. And it's going to give the character more boldness, more weight, and a fairly more realistic feel. As abstract as I get, they can sometimes feel slightly more realistic, or they can, sorry, let me take that down. They do have more realism as I get further along. It is an abstract realism, but it is a realism, and they feel more alive. So I was looking at those pants and thinking about texture and looking at King Femme and thinking about folds and thinking about how to lift the painting and find depth. I have one other painting that I've done this on. Well, I've done it in a few, but there's a painting I did a number of years ago called Madame. It sold. It was one of the paintings, sorry, I'm sweating like crazy. It was one of the paintings I brought down to Chasen Galleries in Sarasota on South Osprey. They hung it on the wall, and within 24 hours, it was gone. This is a painting that hung, that was in a solo show in New York, and I kind of got bummed out that nobody loved it. Nobody, cared for it so much they had to take it home. I was very bummed out. But I brought it down to Chasen Galleries, and they hung it prominently. And they had a couple walk in, and they said, what do you have that's new? And Andrew and Mark said, well, we've got this new artist. And they said, we'll take it. There was no hemming, no hawing. They're like, we'll take it. And it lifted me that someone else felt the depth. They felt the textures. They thought it was interesting. They saw the new technique. Not a technique that is a watered-down version of someone else. They saw the originality, and they found power in that. So it's something that has stuck with me, and so looking at the girl in the shorts, this young black woman that I just put down, or African American woman that I just put to the side, looking at King Fem, it really hit me. This guy has had no depth whatsoever. So what I started doing, we're adding lines. And I'll be going through and adding more and more lines. Adding lines in different colors. I have this teal up here, which is just, it really pops out at you. I'm sorry I don't have art language for what I'm trying to say. I just have basic language, and so it pops out at you. The color pops out at you. But I'm going to be taking it down through. And this is, I'm already doing it by mistake. Pulling the color down with my hands. Anyway, this is going to start to get my mind really working, and really, I can already feel the poo-poo-poo, the poo-poo-poo, the thoughts bouncing around, the reconfiguring of the problem that I've been faced with, or I've given myself. I gave myself a flat painting, a flat, fairly lifeless, deeply uninteresting painting. But looking back and looking forward and looking to the paintings I'm working on, I've found a way to solve the problem. Now I'm going to be putting in the lines over the next next day or two, but in between the lines are I'm going to be putting in paint, and I'm going to be putting in layers of paint. So we're going to be building real texture, real depth, real interest throughout the painting. If you look through my website, or if you look up Madame, M-A-D-M, M-A-A-D-A-M, I think there's an N-E at the end of it, I'm not sure, Beck Lane, you'll see her. She was a woman who was pretty world famous during World War II. I really admired her during World War II. She was the wife of General, I can't remember right now, in World War II, but she started public education in China. She traveled the world talking to world leaders. She knew FDR. She knew Winston Churchill. They actually worked together on several social programs, and they met, they had many meetings. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Look her up, and you'll find what I believe I'm going to be doing to this girl. And I think that's it. Just hopefully adding one more tool to your toolbox in painting. Hopefully. By telling you to add texture, to really look for that other level, instead of saying, this is a tree, this is how you paint a tree, this is a person, this is how you paint a person. Look at how pretty I painted this person. Look for something deeper. Look for something authentic that's coming out of you in your soul. Look for something that's truly original and coming from your blood as an artist. Yep, I think that's it, and I hope that's been fairly inspirational and a lot better than the Sisyphus videos I've been making for a while. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. I gotta go inside. It's so hot. It's dark out. It's like 9:30 at night, and I'm still sweating. Anyway, ciao.